What is going on, everybody? How you doing tonight? I'm excited to celebrate our 2,000 subscribers with an Ask Me Anything live stream. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out. I see you guys have already been dropping some comments in, been giving us some awesome questions. Really excited to dive into those and just to spend some time together. It's been a couple weeks since I've been able to drop a video. Went on vacation with the family. It was fantastic. Was able to go to the beach for a week and really just spend some awesome time there with them and read some books. Those books were also fantastic. We're going to talk a little bit about them tonight, I think, and I'll be getting some reviews out for those as well. And then I got home and lost my voice and wasn't able to make any videos for a couple days. So I'm going to try to get out a few as soon as I get done with youth camp, because we have youth camp coming up this week. If somebody in the comments could just make sure, let me know that the volume's loud enough, some things like that. That would be awesome. Just let me know everything looks good and sounds good, and we'll get started talking about Ask Me Anything. So I am excited. But guys, again, thank you so much for your support on the channel. It's so crazy to think that we're at this point. And I've been doing videos since January, and we're at this point, and that's just a testament to you guys and how awesome y'all have been, and how awesome the BookTube community is. Just as a community, it's just been so cool to see how they rally around those who love to read. So let's get started with some questions. Now, Andrew from Andrew's Wizardly Reads, he's got a bunch here, so I'm going to come through these a little bit. Ralph, how you doing? Contemplative Reader, what's up? Josh, what's going on, man? Andrew, everybody here, thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out. What is my favorite hat? This is a great question. You guys obviously know from my videos that I enjoy wearing hats. I'm a hat guy. My favorite hat was a hat from a local snowboarding shop that I had gotten on a ski trip with our college and career group, and it meant a lot to me. It was a great trip, and then my dog ate it. And so you see it in some of my videos from like February. It was a cool hat, and it's gone now. It is no longer available. Can't go back and get it. We'll never be able to get it again. So that's my favorite hat. Second favorite hat is whatever hat I pick up that day that matches my clothes. And so fantastic question. This question I'm going to ignore because it's a terrible question, because a little hatred isn't overrated. For everybody else in here, Andrew has an issue with Joe Abercrombie, specifically with that series. And it has something to do with a word that rhymes with Grincest. And I understand, but still fantastic series. And this is a terrible question. Gonna skip that one. That one's weird. I can rank them. It's King, Abercrombie, Sanderson. Definitely not going to be doing Kiss Me or Kill. That's a little weird. What is the worst King novel? Oh boy. Andrew. The worst King novel is probably Elevation or Cell. Those are some pretty atrocious King novels. Coming in probably close to that is parts of Song of Susanna are pretty awful. But I think I would have to go with Cell or Elevation on that one, which is like a very common answer. I don't have a spicy take on that at all. But it's probably Cell or Elevation for me. The way I like to rank King novels in a lot of ways is like, is it a top half King novel or is it a bottom half King novel? I think I actually commented that on your video from the other day, Andrew, that The Outsider is definitely a top half King novel. And so big fan of The Outsider. I hope you like it. I think you will. It's definitely the best Holly book, and I don't think it's close. Ralph is fellow believer here. Awesome, man. ADHD reader says, hello, everybody. What's going on, man? All right, let's keep working our way through Andrew's questions here. The guy has just decided that he is going to take over the show here, and that's okay. Who is your favorite peer who is a wizard? Gosh, if only I had a peer who was a wizard, but you're the only wizard I know, and you're not a peer because you're so above me, right? You are just light years above me. And so not really a peer at this point. You know, I'm looking up, desiring to just be as awesome as Andrew's Wizardly Reads. What color lightsaber is the best? I'm not a Star Wars guy. Sorry, I'm not a Star Wars guy. Favorite King book? It's The Green Mile. Yeah. 11/22/63. It's 11/22/63 or The Green Mile. They're like neck and neck. 11/22/63 just has a little bit more nostalgia for me because it was my first King read, and so I'm gonna probably go with 11/22/63 on that one. Most surprising read since you started your channel? Gonna have to go with Discovery by J.J. Minton on that one. Not because I didn't think that booktubers could write good books, but I just was so impressed with it as a first novel. I was so impressed with it, given it's written by three people and how that would function and how like that would be able to come together as a product. And it was so good. If you have not watched my review on that, you need to watch my review on Discovery and everything else about Discovery, and you just need to read it because it is that good. And so my most surprising read is definitely going to be Discovery by J.J. Minton. Stance on DNFing. Make sure you DNF less books than Andrew's Wizardly reads. That's for sure. That guy DNFs way too many books. Reformed Reader, what was a recommendation that didn't work for you? Congrats, brother. Thank you. Thank you, man. That didn't work for me. To be honest, oh gosh. I haven't had that many recommendations that didn't hit. Like I don't really think any. You guys, if you guys know, you know that I have had a pretty good year so far reading. Haven't had too many bad books. And so I actually don't know if I've been recommended anything that I just straight up disliked. I'm gonna have to come back to that one because right now nothing is kind of coming to me. I DNF'd one book this year. I can go. How about this? Let's go with Dandelion Dynasty. Not because I didn't love the first book and I enjoyed the second book, but I have stopped that series because I just don't really want to continue reading it. Some stuff happens in the second book that just makes it was kind of done for me. It was like, okay, I'm done with the series. The reason I was enjoying it is gone now. And so I'll go with that. Dandelion Dynasty. I think it's slightly overrated in the booktube community. And so many people told me to read that book. Contemplative Reader, from one preacher to another. Congrats. How is Claw of the Conciliator going for you? Oh boy. I want to say 7 chapters in. I am listening to a podcast alongside the chapters. It's just talking about each chapter. That's really helped to grasp and to just kind of stay in it. And so I'll read, and then right before I read the next chapter, I'll podcast the chapters before. And I'm just taking it slow, taking it one chapter at a time. But it's really fun. It's really been enjoyable in a very different way. Yes, I've been using Alzabo soup. Look at that. I love it. It's been good. What's going on, Twiceborn? How you doing? All right. What is your least favorite Red Rising book? Book 1. Yeah, book 1 is my least favorite book. And I still love it to death. So that there's almost nothing negative I have to say about Red Rising. I am a Red Rising shill. I will be a Red Rising shill until the day I die. But if I had to rank them, I would rank book 1 last. I like Iron Gold a lot more than most people do. I loved the perspective shift. I loved seeing different viewpoints on what happened in the first 3 books. And I know the first half of Iron Gold is what a lot of people think is, in a lot of ways, kind of a slowdown and the worst part of the series. I just disagree. And that's okay, because I was able to see how Pierce was going to expand that universe. Iron Gold was so good. When are we going to see you publish a book? I have written some. Definitely probably not a book. I've got 2 active short stories that I am currently writing when I feel the urge to. I would love to finish one of them. The other one's probably too early for me to have that like urge. Just don't have time. But there is one that I'm far enough into. I've let some people read what I've done. It is something I would really, really love to finish. I got to find time. And when I do, I'll let you guys read it. It is, in my opinion, A story that I think really mirrors a lot of what I enjoy reading the most, in guys like King, in guys like Richard Bachman, Frederick Bachman, sorry, and other guys like that. So, but one day. All right, let's see here. Why does Jake hate Will of the Many? This is a great question. In case you guys don't know, Jake from Nerd Level Rising hates Will of the Many. I mean, look, he doesn't want to say it online too much, but he told me and Chance Dillon that he hates Will of the Many, absolutely despises it. The worst book he's ever read. I'm just kidding. He loved it. He just had to get to the end. I absolutely cannot wait to read Strength of the Few and talk to it with you guys. But everyone just needs to know that Jake hates Will of the Many. Okay. Who is your favorite peer with the initial CD? Probably Chance Dillon, if I had to say. The guy's introductions and conclusions to his videos are just the most polished masterpieces I've ever seen in my entire life. If you watch Chance Dillon's channel, I've never seen editing done in such a beautiful and poetic way that just enraptures the audience. And for that, I would have to say it has to be Chance Dillon. It just has to be. Yes, definitely was Al Zabo Soup. That is the podcast I'm listening to help me with Claw of the Conciliator. Conciliator. I don't know. We are peers. How dare I'm just telling you how I feel, man. All right. Don't knock my opinions and my thoughts. Okay. My feelings are valid here. Green Mile is darn good. That is facts. Discovery is fire. That is facts. He hates it so much. Y'all stay trolling Jake. Okay, listen. Jake kind of deserves to be trolled because we're all jealous of his hair. Okay. I can't ever have hair like that. If my hair grows out, it is very curly. It's a mess. It's hard to deal with. You may have seen some videos prior to my last haircut where it just started to just have a mind of its own. And Jake's hair just falls right into place. And there's so much of it there. And we're all just at the end of the day jealous of that. And that's all you need to know. I don't DNF all that much. Andrew, listen, buddy. The first step is acceptance. Okay. The first step is acceptance. Okay. ADH reader. Now I'm scared of reading Will of the Many. Jake and I have similar tastes. I'm kidding. Jake really enjoyed Will of the Many. He had, in like the first 3/4 of the book, he was like, man, I just don't quite understand why it's so loved. But by the end, he was on board with all of us. So we were kidding. Jake loves Will of the Many. You're good. You need to read it. It's fantastic. Chance Dillon, masterwork of Sonoma. I don't know what Sonoma is, but oh boy. Congrats on the 2K. Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you for supporting and just being a good buddy. It's been a great time. Just enjoying this with you guys. Dark Age is my least favorite Red Rising book. I'm surprised you didn't DNF it, Andrew. You know? How could Dark Age be your least favorite Red Rising? So much good stuff. See, I've talked about this before. I am a moments reader, right? I cling to those moments and stories where I remember where I was, where I remember that I needed to talk to somebody about it as soon as I was done reading it, right? Those are the moments in books that I think stick out for me the most and what caused me to have favorites. And even though Dark Age is like the most depressing book ever, and it's awful in so many ways, there are so many of those moments that I was just like, oh my gosh. And I have a bunch of friends and guys from my church and our college and career group who are currently working through it. And when they get to Dark Age, it's like, hey, you're gonna hit this chapter, and like they're calling me and texting the group chat, and like that's the moments, right? Dark Age had those moments. I think Red Rising, the first book, had the least amount of those moments, and then maybe book 3 would go right after that. But there are some moments in book 3 too. But Lightbringer is by far the best book in the series. Best King movie, miniseries, TV. Oh gosh. Okay. Movie, Green Mile, or Shawshank Redemption, or Stand By Me. Let's go with Green Mile. We're going to go Green Mile. Miniseries. Do you guys remember? This is not one of his published novels, but he wrote the miniseries Rose Red. It was a miniseries about a haunted hotel. I think that was fantastically done. And then TV show, best Stephen King TV show. What Stephen King TV shows have there been? Let's Google this. Let's look at Stephen King TV shows. Because, all right, The Langoliers. Oh, these are bad. Yeah, guys, none of these are good. The Outsider TV show is fantastic. Castle Rock, I need to go back to. To be honest with you, it was just too quiet. Oh, the best TV show is 11/22/63. Never mind. It's definitely 11/22/63 for sure. That was such a good adaptation. Has Andrew ever finished a book? I think he finished a book or two. I'll go back and check the channel. I know he's supposed to read 6 books next month. I know that Brian from BellTube was the one who chose the books. But to be completely honest, I think he's finished a couple books this year for sure, at best. Chance is stepping out. Chance. Come back. Come back, Chance. Anyone who says I have ever finished anything is lying. I thought Will of the Mini was good, but I didn't love it. It was so good. It was like everything I loved about like 3 or 4 different books kind of like mashed into one. I thought it was so well done. I can't wait for the second one. The 3 weeks, guys, the 3 weeks in November where we're getting Empire of the Dawn and Strength of the Few and Shadows Upon Time. What are we going to do? What is the book community going to do in those 3 weeks? Are we all going to just take off work? I mean, good Lord. It's like back to back to back, 7 days in between. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, but those are like the 3 books I'm most excited for in the year. And they all come out back to back to back. And then there's some other ones like Grifton just mentioned, the new Fonda Lee book. All right. There's some other ones in there as well, but what am I going to do in those 3 weeks? It's going to be crazy. Andrew, you DNF more than me, and that's saying something. How many DNFs does ADHD Reader, Andrew, and the Reformed Reader have combined this year? It's probably 50. Morningstar made me cry multiple times. Stoked to finish the rest of the series when I think I can handle it emotionally. Listen, you can't handle it emotionally, and that's why you should read it right now. Just get it over with. I highly recommend reading with someone so that you guys can like cry together. Pierce Brown is a bad man who does mean things. And that's good. That's what you needed. Ralph said, I wanted to like Red Rising. Ralph, listen, bud. This channel just might not be for you. I'm just kidding. Please don't leave. But you should try it again. Maybe you should try it again. How far did you get in? That's the question. Dark Age just didn't feel like a Red Rising book. It's a deviation, which I feel Pierce trashed half of Lightbringer and course corrected. I get it, especially knowing some of the things that are big points in Dark Age that seem to just be abandoned in Lightbringer. But it worked for me. In my opinion, I needed that. Oh my gosh, this could all just go as poorly as possible stretch of events. And I thought that's what Dark Age did so well. It made Lightbringer even more hit even harder, in my opinion. Morningstar made me so mad. Oh gosh, why did Morningstar make you so mad? Rose Red was awesome. It's not just me. Let's go. New Fonda Lee book. November is way too stacked. It's stupid. I'm mad. I don't have the budget. I need to take the month of November off. I go to the church. I'm like, hey guys, can I get a sabbatical for the month of November? It's a book about a guy who blows up an entire species. A book about a half vampire who's like kind of mad at God. And also a book about a guy trying to overthrow an oppressive government that I have to read. I just have to. All right, thanks. That's how I feel about June, Schwab, Wiswell, Elliott, and Perry books. I know Schwab. I knew that one. No, Andrew says, I got to bounce. Dad stuff. Once again, congrats. All the love, you rock, my friend. Andrew, you're the best. Thank you so much for kicking off these questions with some fantastic ones and just for being such a good bud. You are the man. Grifton, what is Wiswell, Elliott, and Perry in terms of like genre and like comparisons? Let me know. I liked book 1 of Sun Eater. If you liked book 1, if you liked book 1 of Sun Eater, have you continued? Because good Lord, book 2 just gets so good. And then I just started Demon and White today, guys. Just started Demon and White today. Got to get done so I can be on time for Shadows Upon Time. And I have heard Demon and White is going to even be better than Howling Dark, which blows my mind. But we're going to see. Who makes you cry more, Pierce Brown or Frederick Bachman? Definitely Frederick Bachman. Pierce Brown makes me angrier. Frederick Bachman is I want to believe that like he's like a vampire who he lives off of the tears of his readers. That's the only reason why he writes the books he does. If you've ever read A Man Called Ovi, if you've ever read Beartown, My Friends, the guy lives to make you cry. And like ugly cry too, not like, oh, that was sad. Or like, oh, that was nice. Like I teared up at the end of Demon Copperhead. I just finished it today. Bachman tears are not like that. Bachman tears, it's bad. Okay, so it's Bachman for sure. I put Morningstar down around page 150. Pierce can write some good scenes, especially the beginning of Morningstar. So don't feel the emotions for Darrow. Understood. I don't think Darrow is meant to be the most likable, lovable Rudy Ford person. I would recommend pushing through. I would recommend it. I just think it gets better. And then the second, if you really enjoy how Pierce Brown writes, the second set of books expands past Darrow to a point where like you don't have to love Darrow to love every minute, in my opinion. Can't say why I may be mad. Too spoilery. I think I know. I don't think I read that much to be a part of BookTube. I mean, honestly, I don't read a ton either. Ask the church for a sabbatical to be a heathen. Hold on. Okay, we can talk about the concept of Christian liberty, book of 1 Corinthians, book of Galatians, book of Ephesians, right? As a believer, I am free to partake in those things that A, do not cause me to stumble, and B, do not cause my brother in Christ to stumble. And so I think a lot of what I read is squarely within that freedom. Okay. I'm just kidding. Just messing with you. Wiswell just won the Nebula and Locust Award for his first novel. Ooh, okay. What's that called? Elliott is a fantasy author that's been around for forever. Fantasy or fantasy adjacent. The ADHD reader says, Preacher, how the heck do you juggle all your responsibilities? I have clones who accomplish some of these things for me. It's like a weird combination of flying by the seat of my pants, having a plan, sleeping less than I should, and being a busybody, I think is probably the answer to that question. I love everything that I do, right? So I love being a pastor. I love the baseball work that I do. So I have a second job where I help high school players find colleges to play for. And so I'm like their recruiting director. I work with colleges and work with the players, and basically I'm kind of the middleman there. Love doing that. And then I love reading books and talking about them. So, I mean, it's not too bad at this point. And honestly, I spent a year or two doing like Twitch streaming video games, and that was way more work than BookTube. So it's way more work than BookTube. I'm sure the wifey helps quite a bit. Quite a bit. I'm excited for Howling Dark, but I got to be in the mood for Rockio. I think I'm going to read Pillars of the Earth next. Nice. That's a chunker. Pillars of the Earth is like, that's a chunky boy. All right. So we're out of questions right now, but I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to come up with some more, write some more in. And while we do that, I will go ahead and talk about what I've read this month. So been a couple weeks since I put out a video. I went on vacation, and I had what I would like to call an epic fantasy sci-fi sabbatical. I said, I'm not going to do it. I was in the middle of an arc. Once I finish this arc, I'm going to only read non-epic fantasy and sci-fi, because I was just getting very bogged down and kind of overwhelmed with a lot of the stuff I was reading at the same exact time, and just bit off more than I could chew when it comes to a couple things. And I needed that reset, because I felt like I wasn't enjoying anything that was fantasy sci-fi. And so I took a little bit of sabbatical from that, and now we're back, right? And so I'm going to be doing some fantasy and sci-fi in July for sure. But I had to finish my arc. This one was extra special to me because I did not expect to get this arc. This is probably my third or fourth favorite author of all time. And so getting this arc was like, I teared up a little bit. And that was King Sorrow by Joe Hill. I mean, look at this thing, man. Look at this chunky boy. And so I decided this was going to be what I started reading on vacation, because I knew I'd be able to blow through it. And guys, very, very good. Not my favorite Joe Hill. I would still say that's Horns. I just loved the concept behind Horns. This book is not King Sorrow. It is not as epic fantasy as you probably would think by looking at the cover, maybe reading the back. It is very grounded. It is very much like it. The big bad King Sorrow very much plays a role like Pennywise does, where most of the book feels pretty grounded in it and lacking of fantasy until that character shows up, and there's that hard transition into the horrific supernatural things that are happening. And so do not go into this book thinking that Joe Hill has written an epic fantasy dragon story. He has not. He has written a horror novel, and the horror antagonist is an epic fantasy dragon. And it's fantastic. It is fantastic. There's some choices that were made towards the end, and I'm going to do a review on this closer to the end, closer to its release date in October. There's some things done at the end that I didn't love in terms of character choices, but it didn't ruin the story for me. I want to say I gave it a 4 out of 5, well above average. It's just not Horns for me. Horns was so good. Nosferatu was very good as well. If you've never read Joe Hill, he has enough of a distinct voice that I think he's a must read, even if you don't like King that much. But he does do a lot of the things that his dad does very, very well. And so I read King Sorrow first, and then it was time to just get out of fantasy completely. Hobby Vonnet, thank you so much for the congratulations. And so I picked up Fredrik Backman's My Friends. Now, big Backman fan. Man Called Ove is absolutely fantastic. It is such a good novel. The Beartown series, I have not read the last one, but the first two are brilliant. If you've never read Backman, like I said earlier, his job is to make you cry. I think he feasts off of your tears. But it is done in a way where he just draws you into the characters, and he deals with some of life's most real problems in a way that is almost whimsically sad. I don't even know if that makes sense. If you've read Backman, I think you know what I mean. Like, it's dark, and it's weighing as you're reading it, but the prose and the way he writes just still has a little bit of a whimsy to it. I enjoyed My Friends. It was not my favorite Backman. Beartown is still my favorite Backman. I think I gave it a 3.5 out of 5, which on my scale is good. The big negative for me on this one was it is a coming of age story in many ways. And I felt like the children just did too much saying things that was not stuff children would say. This book is very focused on the importance of art and the importance of expressing yourself through art, which is awesome. But 14 to 15-year-olds do not typically talk about art in the way that these do. And they're not educated teenagers. And so it just took me out of it a little bit. There was a couple of moments where he, you know, threw in a line from one of the teenagers. And I'm like, that would have been a beautiful line from a art major in college, or from somebody who was educated in this type of art history, right? Like, it just didn't sound like something a kid would say. And guys like King, and even there's so many good options here, but people who write coming of age really well are able to express that beauty through the words of what a kid would actually say. And I just didn't think he did that great. Characters are fantastic as always. The narrative is framed really weird. It's like jumping back and forth between two time periods. I thought that was done really well. It kept me on my feet. It kept it interesting, because there was one or two characters I wasn't as interested in, but we were constantly back and forth. So that was fine. I thought it was good overall. I think you should read it. But it was definitely not my favorite. ADHD reader, definitely Beartown, that series as a whole. Still need to read the third one, but the first one is amazing. And A Man Called Ove is just, it's a staple at this point. And then after that, I finished today another tearjerker, one that I threw into the TBR last minute because I saw that a couple of people I love following were reading it. And that was Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. Tom Orange just finished this. Mike from Mike's Book Reviews just finished this. It had been something I wanted to read, and it was time. And so I grabbed it while I was down at the beach, and I decided to read it. So let's talk about this book. It's a masterpiece, an absolute masterpiece. It's 5 out of 5. Probably will be in my top 10 next year all time, depending on kind of how it sits with me. It is not the type of book I typically love. I hated parts of this book, not from a reading experience way. I'm going to talk about what I hated about it. This book hits a little too close to home for me in a lot of ways. I didn't know that. I kind of went in blind. And so I picked this book up. I decided it was time to read it. I'd heard so much good stuff about it. Mike had just read it. Tom had just read it. And so I decided to pick it up, and quickly found out, okay, this book is set in Virginia, right? I'm in Virginia. This book is set in a smaller country area. I'm in a smaller country area. This book is about generational trauma and the cycles that exist within broken families. Okay, it's a little close to home. This book is about addiction and the lack of help that exists for addiction. This book is about how addiction can cause someone who loves people to treat them in unloving ways, even though in their head and in their heart they love them. They just can't not break the people around them because of their addiction. Way too close to home. And so for most of this book, I was mad at the main character. I was mad at his friends. I was mad at his acquaintances. I was mad at his enemies. I was mad at everybody in the book because they were making a lot of choices that remind me of family and friends, remind me of people who I feel like have made those choices as well. And most of this book is very hopeless feeling. It's done on purpose, I think. And so you spend most of this book at the same time feeling like it's beautiful, feeling it's written so well, feeling like it is enthralling and enrapturing, but you're starting to get mad at the characters. You're starting to get mad at their circumstances. Like it makes you feel some things you don't like to feel. But I can tell you, probably 3 days ago, I was like, I'm not going to DNF this because it's good enough to finish. But I think I'm going to give this book a good rating and then like never talk about it again, because it's just too much. And then I finished it today, and the ending of the book is so good, and wraps up the story in such a way that drives home what needed to be driven home without feeling like a cop out, without making the rest of the book feel unnecessary or feel The rest, unbelievable. About 150 pages left. I said, I hope she does this, but I don't know how she's going to pull it off. And she does. And I think it's a book that you should read, but you need to be in a certain headspace, especially if like addiction and family trauma and cycles are something that you have experienced. Be in the right headspace, know what you're getting into. There's so much here that to say about those things that are positive. But man, it is a dark book. Hobby Vomit says, going to be pitching Demon Copperhead to my family for our family book club. That's an interesting family book club choice. I don't know your family dynamic, but this would not be a family book club book for mine. Shannon says, I don't think I want to read this book. This is my sister. Shannon, I think you should. Like I said, it hits very close to home in a lot of ways, but I think the way that it wraps up is done in a way that is purposefully hopeful without being unbelievable. And it's so impressive that she was able to do it that way, given just how bleak most of this novel was. The ADHD reader, I have never been able to cry at books. I'm kind of jealous of all the people who can. I don't do it much, but when I do it, it's usually bad. Guys, make sure you're throwing in some more questions into the chat. Anything is up for grabs. If you just want to know about non-book stuff, you want to know some more book stuff, throw in some questions into the chat. I'm going to probably do this for at least an hour. So we've got 23 more minutes. I would love to answer any questions that you guys have. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I think you will cry at this book, ADHD Reader. There's only been about 5 or 6 that I've cried at. A Monster Calls, like David just said, probably the saddest thing I've ever read in my entire life. I did tear up today finishing Demon Copperhead. And there's been a couple more. Not many, but when it happens, like I said, any Frederick Bachman book is going to make you cry, most likely. If you have read A Man Called Ove and you didn't cry, if you read Demon Copperhead and don't cry, you need to probably go to the hospital and get your glands checked. Is that Suburbia poster ripped? It is, dude. I know this hurts you. I know. I'm so sorry for the Suburbia poster. It's ripped. If you have never read A Monster Calls, by the way, guys, you need to go read it right now. Like, it's just that simple. You need to experience it. I would say if you want to cry at a book and you've never cried at a book, the easiest way to cry at a book is to go get a Monster Calls. And just prepare yourself. It's a quick read. It's a fast read. It's haunting. It is. You'll probably read it in a night or two, but whoa. I probably will reread it again soon just to get that experience again. But as a parent, I don't know if I want to read it again at the same time. Read Charlotte's Web. Speaking of crying while reading, what's your favorite Gatorade flavor? The dark blue one. I don't know what cool, something cool. I think it's something cool. Cool blue, the dark blue one. You guys know what I mean. A Child Called It didn't make me cry, but that book was brutal. I don't know about that book. Loads of generational trauma and addiction in our family. It might do the trick. It's again just go into it knowing what you're gonna be dealing with and what you're gonna be engaging with. And trust me that the ending lands. The ending helps. I think if you talk to Barbara Kingsolver, she would tell you that the goal of most of the book is to make you angry at the world and the circumstances that exist that have created the problems we find in the book. She wants you to feel angry. And then by the end of the book, she shifts that into what I think she would say is the proper response to those problems. The more I talk about it, the more I think it's in my top 10 all the time. And literally 3 days ago, I was saying that I didn't know if I would ever talk about it again. So I am watching the new season of The Chosen. Wonderful adaptation. Have you watched? I have not. I don't watch much TV at all. I have not watched The Chosen. Obviously, kind of in my sphere, a lot of people like it. A lot of people don't. It's pretty divided on whether or not it is accurate to the text, whether or not the people behind it have the right intentions. I haven't watched it, haven't done enough research to answer any of those questions. But if you're enjoying it and it's drawing you closer to pursue Christ, that's good. That's a great thing. You should read The Brothers K by David James Duncan. It's an emotional family drama story. This is one of the best books I've ever read. I will, but not anytime soon. I need a break. I'm going to go back to being a fantasy nerd for a while because between my friends and Demon Copperhead, too much. Need a break. White. What is white an answer? Oh, white as the Gatorade flavor. Well, there's a couple. Is that like the white cherry one? Because that one's disgusting. Generational Trauma Support Club. Yes. In need of it. In fact, in our youth group, we play a little bit of a game called the Trauma Olympics sometimes. And it's just a way for, our guys to kind of bare their souls to each other in a way that is allows for some coping mechanisms to be involved and to be a little easier. And it's just, just talking about a trauma. There's nothing wrong with that. Sure, my Demon Copperhead made me recommend that, but it's way lighter. It's not as bleak. Whew, that's good. A Child Called It was a very short memoir written by a guy whose mom kept him locked in a garage, often chained to his bed. Good Lord. Finally got my Inheritance Cycle Special Editions. Dude, they're gorgeous. I wish I had any attachment to that series. I never read it. I wish I had any attachment to it. I know I got here late, but are you watching and did you read Murderbot? I'm going to watch Murderbot. I'm going to try to convince my wife to watch it. I read, the first 3 novellas? I read up to the first novel. And I haven't done the novel one, the one that's considerably longer. Really enjoyed the books. Flew through them. I remember I read them all while I was at the beach a couple years ago. And don't know why I never picked up the novel. Probably should do that soon. But yeah, we're going to check out the series. I've heard good things about it. And then our book club for 9 Realms is actually reading, I want to say, a novella a week next month. And so I probably will reread those. At least I'll probably reread those with them because it's been a while. It's been long enough that I don't know if I'll remember them enough to be able to engage much in those conversations. Whenever they do a read that's something I've read recently, it's easier, but that's been a couple years. Fight Me. Glacial Cherry is the best. I mean, no. Gatorade is the only drink. We just use the color as a flavor. Right. Dark blue. Wife goes in the store. I'm like, give me Gatorade. Which one? Dark blue. Good Book and Addiction is The Dishwasher by Stephanie LaRue, focused on gambling, cooking, industry abuses. Interesting. Yeah, the Demon Copperhead decided just to be right in the wheelhouse of the things that showed up in my family tree. Lemon Lime, a classic for a reason. Dude, Lemon Lime's just a little too much for me. Okay, Lemon Lime's a little too much for me. Read it with Audrey. What am I reading with Audrey? I'm scared. What is it I'm reading with Audrey? Not Demon Copperhead. Not Murderbot. You can have my Inheritance Cycle. I would love to read those with Audrey. That would be cool. I like that idea. Hobby Vomit. Do you have a favorite short story collection by King? Full Dark No Stars. We're gonna go Full Dark No Stars. Probably not. And again, this is more of a nostalgia thing. That was the first short story collection I read by him. It came out a couple weeks after I had first read King. And so I was like, I'm enjoying this guy. Let me go grab this new book of short stories. And I think they're so good. I think newer King just gets a bad rap sometimes. I think if that exact collection was dropped 10 years prior, it would be just like Night Shift and a couple of the other collections. For people, but people like to be hipster and say they like the old stuff. Full Dark No Stars is gas. Are you stoked for the new Bill Murray music? Am I stoked for the new Bill Murray music? What kind of question is that? It's the new Bill Murray music. Of course I'm stoked for the new Bill Murray music. If you guys have never listened to Bill Murray, he's the greatest. All right. It's the best blend of pop punk, country, and metalcore you could ever have in your entire life. Now we're getting into we're asking music questions. Guys, I love books. Music, love probably more. So again, nothing is off limits here in terms of types of questions. My day job, things I like outside of books, bring them on. Lemon Lime is milk toast. That lemon lime is worse than milk toast. Yes, full dark, no stars. So underrated. What's going on, Shelf Esteem? How you doing? It is very good. Gerardo wants to say hi. How you doing, man? Thank you for coming and hanging out. Thank you guys for celebrating with me. Again, it's so cool that you guys have supported the channel in this way, that they were, up to past 2,000 subscribers in essentially 5 to 6 months. It's not because of my insanely abundant video releases either. Going to try to get back on one a week here once I get through camp this week. But thank you guys so much for just enjoying the content, engaging with the content, and supporting me in any way you possibly can. I'm skipping. Not to be hipster, but I love the King Killer Chronicles. The 4 of the series was finished. Get out. Get out. Go to timeout, Grifton. Go to timeout. The things that I would give up to get the Doors of Stone. Like, I'm trying to describe how I would feel if next week Patrick Rothfuss just showed up and said, hey, Doors of Stone is done. It's releasing summer 2026. If this is how I felt when my wife told me that our first kid was going to be born, right? This is how I would feel if the Doors of Stone was a reality that I could get off a bookshelf. All right? First kid, second kid, third kid, Doors of Stone. I'm kidding. Don't tell Max that. Man, that'd be crazy. Philip Chase, congratulations on the milestone, Preacher. Here's to the many more milestones to come. Thank you so much, man. Like, it's so crazy that all these people that I watched religiously have supported in the way that they have, just by words of encouragement, participating in videos, sharing videos. Like, this community is just so cool, right? It's just so cool. You guys just support every possible person you can in so many ways. And that's so awesome. Philip, thank you so much for coming and stopping and saying and saying congratulations, man. Any favorite hobbies outside of music and books? All right, let's talk about it. So I have this weird eclectic life. Big gym guy, right? That's something I do very regularly. It's something I enjoy. It's something I spend a lot of time thinking about, and I enjoy at a very high level. I also wakeboard. I don't know if you guys all know what wakeboarding is, but you're behind a boat in a lake, and you're kind of like water skiing, but instead of water skiing, you jump and do tricks. I grew up doing that. My dad just grew me up at the lake. I think I skied for the first time at 5. I slalom for the first time at like 7. Wakeboarded at 10. And it's just been something I've done my whole life. So much fun. My daughter is now into it. She's my oldest. She's 9. She's getting pretty good at it. My son will probably get it for the first time this year. My middle son. So I love doing that. Love the gym. Love playing guitar. I am a philosophy and theology nerd, even outside of just like my job. Something I really enjoy engaging with and dealing with and reading about and working through. So my undergrad was on philosophy and religion. And so all those things are really things I love to enjoy doing. But man, music takes the cake a lot of times for my favorite hobby. But those are some of the weird ones, like wakeboarding. And you probably didn't know about that. I just skateboarded for a little bit, snowboarded for a little bit. I just like sports in general, big baseball guy. Played hockey for a couple of years. That was fun. Probably the coolest hobby I had, it's not technically outside of music, was like I played music, did the shows thing, and we recorded in Nashville, and like you can find it on Spotify, and that was fun. That was really fun. Poor third kid. Maybe if the whole fantasy community gives Rothfuss a hug, we would get it. Great question. Name of the Wind is one of my top 10 books, but I'm losing hope. It is in my top 10 as well. But I've already just lost the hope. I don't think it's coming. And if I get it, then I'll just be that excited. Being a third kid is like being a third wheel, speaking from experience. My third child is doing everything he possibly can to not be ignored. So just take that for what it's worth. Take me with you to the lake. I tried to wakeboard. Very fun. It's pretty big where I come from. We have endless lakes. Florida. Most pros live in Florida, so I'm going to assume Florida. Philosophy. So walk on a slippery rock. Favorite hockey team. I am a Pittsburgh fan in every sport. So I am a Pirates, Penguins, Steelers fan, which is great for hockey and great for football and atrocious for baseball. We won't spend any money on anything, and hurts my feelings. And also the Penguins have sucked the last couple of years, but I'm sure that'll come around. Once Crosby and Malkin retire, though, it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird for sure. Favorite baseball team is the Pirates. Kind of stinks. It really does. It really does kind of stinks. They won't spend money on anyone. We'll lose Paul Skeens in the next couple of years, and we'll be back right where we started. But we draft well, though. We do draft well, though. Did y'all ever do a DIY tour? We did a couple DIY shows that were far enough away to call it that, but we never did 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shows in a row without coming home. We were all in college at that point. One of the summers while we were playing regularly, I was interning at a church, so that was hard. At least 3 of us had very, 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 very steady girlfriends that we eventually married. So we did a lot more. Thankfully, the local scene where I'm from was pretty huge. And so we didn't have to go too far to play shows a ton. And we recorded our last EP in Nashville. And then we decided that it was time to get married and become pastors. And about half of us got married and became pastors. And so it was time to hang it up. But I still I like going back and listening to it and having some nostalgia for those times. It was great. What's your favorite video game? Ooh, all right. I'll split these up. Competitive, Valorant. Big Valorant guy. It's taken up a ton of my time. In second place on that would be Rainbow Six Siege. Non-competitive game. I'm more of a competitive guy. I rarely finish video games. Rarely. Almost never. Gonna go with Dishonored 2 as my favorite non-competitive video game. Gosh, it's so good. I've actually played it 3 times. I beat it 3 times. I barely beat anything. Still haven't beat Clair Obscur, even though it's amazing. I think if I finish Clair Obscur, that could be my favorite of all time. But I just haven't had any time to play it. And I struggle to keep the momentum on games that are story based. And then I end up just playing 45 minutes of some competitive shooter and going to sleep because I'm old and my bedtime is 9:00. So, but yeah, Dishonored 2 is the GOAT. Dishonored 2 is absolutely the GOAT. Pittsburgh did have the Killer Bees. It's been a minute since they were good. Was it 2016 when we lost in the wild card by 1 to the Reds, if I remember correctly? That was the last year that our team was actually really good. I want to say Cueto pitched. We had the outfield of McCutchen and Marte and Polanco. Pretty solid infield, pretty good pitching staff, and lost a close game back when you just had one and done. And then we've sucked ever since. Not the Pirates actively losing their game right now. That's my boys. That's my Pirates. Actively losing all the time. I love it. It's almost your bedtime. I might extend it out. If you guys can hit me with some awesome questions in the next 15 minutes, right? We could extend it out just a little bit. I do have to pack for camp. We have youth camp starts tomorrow for our church, which is going to be fantastic. I have to pack and, do a couple other things upstairs to get everything ready. My wife is going to have 3 days with the kids and no husband. So, but that's okay. I can stay up past 9. Riggs knows that my bedtime is pretty early these days, though. You and I both, I barely finished games. 300 hours in Elden Ring? 300 hours in Elden Ring? Holy moly. I don't have that. I probably have 1,500 hours in Valorant. I probably have close to 2,000 in Rainbow Six. I'm a competitive guy. I'm just a competitive guy. Congrats. My son just stopped by, so I'm out. Grifkin, thank you so much for hanging out. You are the man. Thank you for your support. Thank you for hanging out in the Book Street Boys chat. All those things. You're awesome. What is the author you want to have the most on the channel? Oh, this is not even close. My dream. I'm manifesting. This is me manifesting. My dream is Pierce Brown before Red God. Like somehow the channel gets to the place where Pierce Brown would come on my channel before Red God. Like, whoa. Just think about it. Pierce Brown on this channel a month out from Red God's release. Maybe I've gotten to ARC. I've read it early. Talking to the man himself. Oh, man. That's it. Pierce Brown. It's not even close. If I had to go past Pierce Brown, it would obviously be Stephen King, even though he would never come here. So then maybe Joe Hill. Robert McCammon's too old. Is he alive? Yeah, he's alive. Those are like my favorite authors right now. So maybe one that's like more realistic would be like Ronald Malfi. That would be sick. Or James Islington. James Islington is Presbyterian evangelical. So like that would be cool. If he would come on the channel, maybe before book 3 of the hierarchy, that'd be sick. Are you a youth pastor then? Because you definitely give youth pastor energy. Yes. I am more than a youth pastor. I am the associate pastor. I do all of the youth pastoring. And then I do a lot of our small group ministry. I help with our music ministry. I run all of our websites. I run all of our social medias and do a lot of our tech stuff. Kind of like a little bit of everything. I preach occasionally. I really enjoy like teaching in small settings. That's my favorite thing though. But yes, and I am a youth pastor in a very real way. And I do give off youth pastor energy, which is why BookTube is easy for me. Starting 5 Fantasy Protagonist Edition. Cassius. I'm just kidding. Cassius. Darrow. Severo. This is sci-fi. I don't even care. I'm just doing this anyway. I don't know, man. That's a good question. Kaladin. Kaladin's great, even though he's too whiny. I'd have to think about that one. That is a great question. And then do antagonists. The best antagonist is Apollonius, and it's not even close. In my opinion, I think Apollonius is the best written antagonist in science fiction or fantasy. Antagonists. Like Randall Flagg, for sure. Randall Flagg is definitely up there. Pennywise is fantastic as an antagonist. The antagonist in Blackmouth is disturbing as all get out. I would probably put him up there. Honestly, I need to read more big fantasy series. Another protagonist I would throw in there, I'm blanking on his name, is the guy from Evan Winter's series. He's kind of goated. I did a quest in Skyrim today that made me think of the kings of the Old Testament. Interesting. I never played Skyrim. Is that blasphemy? Can I say that? I kept telling myself this guy has to be Christian while reading Lycanius. Yes, he is evangelical Presbyterian from what I have read, which is not surprising once you kind of think about it. Like you said, especially I haven't read Lycanius, but I've heard it's definitely in there a lot, especially like more reformed concepts of like predestination and stuff. Not that surprising. Especially like you go back into The Will of the Many, he definitely stays away from some like language and stuff that is present in most newer fantasy novels. Kaladin is better than Fitz. I haven't read any of the Fitz stuff. I have a couple of them on my shelf. Get to them one day. Honestly, some people have scared me by talking about how slow they are. That scares me a little bit. But all right, keep pushing questions. We'll do maybe 10 to 15 more minutes. I am going to announce something cool that I'm going to start doing on the channel. I'm really excited for it. This is uh, something that is, in a lot of ways, uh, I decided to do because I like how it's done in the video game sphere. So there's a podcast that I watch regularly called the Friends Per Second podcast. It talks about video games, and they all get on there and they break up the podcast with like news, and then they talk about like user questions. So they allow the people who listen to give questions, and they talk about it. There's 3 or 4 of them, and then they do like a big topic, whether it's an interview or like a big question about gaming, and then they talk about what they've played, and then that's the end of the podcast. They do it every 2 weeks. So what we're going to do is every 2 weeks, I'm going to release the Book Street Boys podcast, and I will be the host, and then we'll have a different couple, 2 or 3 Book Street Boys on the channel for each podcast, and we're going to allow for user questions that I'll get from the Discord server or for videos. We're going to talk about like a big topic. So the first one is going to be, I'm really excited for this. We're gonna do it next week. The first topic is going to be how do expectations change how you rate books or how you view a reading experience. And so if you go into a book like King Sorrow, for example, right? I went into it so giddy that I almost became too nitpicky because I expected so much. And I got a great book, but I didn't get the best arc I've ever had. Oh my gosh, like I'm never going to forget this experience, right? Like I hyped it up because it was an arc from a favorite author and I was reading it on vacation and it's his foray into fantasy, right? I built these expectations and it was still a great book, but I think I was actually driven to maybe like it a little less than I would have if it was just a book I was reading. And so that's what we're going to talk about next week, me and 2 to 3 of the other Book Street Boys guys. And then we're going to take another user question and we're going to talk about what we've been reading and what we're going to read next. And so every 2 weeks, we're going to do something like that. It's going to be called the Book Street Boys podcast. We'll be dropping it every 2 weeks. And so every other week, you guys will get that. Try to keep it like an hour and 15 minutes. Really excited for it. I think it's going to bring some great discussion. We're going to try to do some author interviews on there as well, maybe some booktuber interviews. And we're always going to just try to fill that middle section with like a really interesting book question or an interview, right? Not just what are we reading? Tell us about this book, but something like that question of how do expectations alter your reading experience. And so I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be great. And I'm excited to see how it's viewed because I don't watch a lot of like really long YouTube videos, but I do watch that when it comes to the gaming podcast, Friends Per Second. And so, and I watch Two to Ramble because they talk to each other. I think having multiple people talking to each other really allows for better, longer form content. And so I'm excited for that. Keep your eye out for it. It's going to be a really good time. And make sure you're keeping an eye out for opportunities to give user questions and to give suggestions because it's going to be great. Oh, get ready for Wine Eat with Fitz. I've heard Slow but Beautiful. What's a book you've chucked across the room? I would never chuck a book across the room. How rude. Why would anyone ever do that? A book I've gotten mad at to the level where maybe I wanted to chuck it across the room. Gosh, my reading experience has been just so positive overall. There's not a lot of books that I've hated. A Cosmology of Monsters by Sean Hamill. I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to mute this video if you do not want to have A Cosmology of Monsters by Sean Hamill spoiled. And it's not even the end because I didn't get to it. But about halfway through this book, which is about this kid who befriends a monster, the monster essentially a word that rhymes with schmexually assaults the kid via like grooming. Okay. And it's presented as like perfectly fine. And I immediately DNF'd that book and like immediately got rid of it. And I don't know why anyone would like it. And it's to the point where when I read it, I was like, if anyone ever tells me they like this book, I might Google their history. Yeah, it was bad. But then you go on like Goodreads Let's see what the Goodreads rating of this book is. A Cosmology of Monsters. Goodreads rating of 3.75. So not like great, but like, in my opinion, these reviews should just be full of what in the world was that scene? What in the world was that scene? What in the world was that scene? And it's not. So absolutely disgusting. Book Street Boys podcast sounds fantastic. What a great topic. Thank you. Looking forward to it. Yikes. Yes, very yikes. Oh, what's up, Britton? Congrats on 2,000 subs. Trying to get to 1K myself. Guys, if you do not follow Britton, go right now. Samoki dude, follow him. Especially if you like comics, especially if you like random videos on like the coolest, just like esoteric book questions. Britton just talks about what he's thinking, and there's a lot of really cool stuff going up in those head and in his head. So go check it out. Big oof. Yes, it is a big oof. I would have thrown it out the window. Probably should. Yo, have me on the podcast. Riggs, I would love to have you on the podcast. Every time I've asked you to do something like this, though, you tell me no, that you're like, you don't want to do it. So I would love to have you on the podcast. Don't let Riggs on the pod. Come on. Riggs deserves to be on the podcast. Riggs is the best bro. Okay? If you guys don't know, me and Riggs we go back. We were college roommates. We've been friends for a very long time. We've been best friends for a very long time. Sorry, Riggs, he has to have me first. Well, in my sister's defense, she does make book content. So, Riggs, you gotta catch up. You gotta catch up. Who are you? You know who that is. That is my sister, sir. Riggs is a danger to society. That would be so good. Guys, if you're not in the Book Street Boys server, just constantly being berated by Riggs. What are you doing in your life? That's the real question. The other day, a couple weeks ago, Riggs went to a bookstore and bought a favorite book of one of the people in the Discord just to write in it and destroy it to troll the person in the book in the Discord. Okay, that's how far we're going here. Okay. Congrats on 2,000 subs. Have a good night. Thank you so much, man. Talking about books, beverages, and bed. Oh, yeah. She's in our Discord. She is. They are in our Discord. I don't know which one is currently in the comment section. They probably just have seen you being a menace in there. Or you could have Riggs and Ion together. Oh, what a yin and yang. What a yin and yang. I think that's a great idea. Sorry. Hi, this is Cheryl. Yeah, she's Shar in Book Street Boys, Riggs. You've yelled at her a couple times. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to talk really quickly about what I plan on reading next. And while I do that, if you guys want to put a couple more questions in the chat, and so I'll talk about what I'm reading next, and then I'll answer some more questions, and then we'll all go to bed because it's late and I'm old. All right, so I just started Demon in White this morning. 4 chapters in, fantastic. Going to be reading that. Going to try to get that done by like July 1st or 2nd. Then I'm going to be doing a read along with the Nine Realms guys, going back through the Murderbot books, the first 4, I believe, 1 a week. And then I'm going to be reading Chance Dillon's Mercy, Tears of the Fallen. Chance Dillon's Mercy, Tears of the Fallen. That is releasing on July 20th. So I want to get that done prior to release. I have an arc of it. Excited to read that. I know Shannon is also reading that. I know so many people have finished it up already and really enjoyed it. I can't wait to check it out. I needed that fantasy break partially so that I could make sure I gave Mercy everything that it deserved to get for me. I didn't want to enjoy it less because I was just so burnt out on fantasy. Chance deserves a really, really, really good shot, right, with me. And I know it's going to be so good. Chance is just so cool. And so I'm excited for that. Don't know what I'm going to read after that. I've got a list of about 15 things that I want to start. I know I've got to read 1 Sun Eater book a month to make sure I'm ready for Shadows Upon Time. I know I'm rereading The Will of the Many prior to the release of The Strength of the Few. So we'll see. We'll see what comes next. But I definitely know that I'm going to be finishing Demon in White, reading once a month Sun Eater books. I'm going to be reading Chance Dillon's book very soon, as well as those Murderbot books. And we'll see what else pops up I'm still working through the Cirque du Freak books. I've actually just finished book 6 of those, and those are cool little palette cleansers as well. And so pretty excited for what's coming down the road. Going to be doing reviews for my friends, be doing a review for Demon Copperhead, be doing a review for King Sorrow, and I'm going to be doing a review for the Devils, which I think is going to be a little bit of a spicy one because my opinion on it has soured as I've sat on it. And so be looking out for that the Devils review very, very soon. And we'll be putting out a video about palette cleansers when you do find yourself in a little bit of a reading slump or burnout by fantasy and sci-fi, and talk about some of my favorite non-fantasy and sci-fi books that I think are great options for palette cleansers. So be looking out for that. Do you prefer ideas or characters? Combination of both for a choice of good books. Characters. Here's why. I think the ideas can be derived out of great characters, but I don't think that great characters can be derived out of ideas. And so, like, oftentimes, if the characters are great, I can find the ideas because the characters need to have within them complexity, and need to have within them backstory, and need to have within them struggle and things like that to be good characters. And those things in themselves then can have ideas drawn from them. And so I'll use Demon Copperhead, for example, as well, right? Most of Barbara Kingsolver's ideas, she's not just like, hey, let me tell you about this, or let me make this idea the forefront, right? It's derived from engaging with the characters. And so I would say characters for sure, because I think ideas come with good characters and not the other way around. Mercy's such a banger. Oh, that's so great to hear. Hobby Vomit. Can't wait. Can't wait for Mercy getting the gorgeous special hardcover next month. I've looked at no reviews for Chance's book as I don't want anything to sway me. That's good. The thing I love about Chance Dillon is I know he's gotten a couple reviews that weren't like 5 stars, and he's just taking them with stride. The guy just loves the book he wrote, and it sounds like something I'm really going to enjoy. I'm going to have to reread Mercy. It's a difficult book. Chance is a demanding author, stretching my reading abilities. I mean, for somebody who loves Book of the New Sun, or somebody who loves Malazan so much, that's not surprising, right, to anybody. I think those are probably his 2 favorite series, if I remember correctly. It's not surprising that his series drops you in the deep end, from what I've been told, and really just kind of expects you to swim. And so pretty stoked on that. I think it's going to be really, really good. But I'm going to give it like I'm going to try to be reading it and only it when I read it. Now, that doesn't count like audiobooking Murderbot, especially since those are rereads. But I'm going to try to like have my eyes solely focused on Mercy. And that means I am going to continue to have to push back Gardens of the Moon, which I've read 9 chapters of. And I'm supposed to be doing a collab video with Four Corners of the Page and Zachary Shea. I don't want to force Gardens of the Moon and dislike it because I forced it, because I think I will like it. I've enjoyed the first 9 chapters, but like I said, I've just been so burnt out on big epic fantasy. Rigmarole. Rick says the Library Trilogy has been really fun. Have you finished it yet? I love the first book. I know you're in the 3rd book or finished with the 3rd book. I definitely expect a lot of great things from those last 2. I have high expectations for them. Book 1 was great. Guys, if you've never read The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence, it's beautiful. If you read another Mark Lawrence book and hated it, and so you haven't read the Library Trilogy because you hated Prince of Thorns, trust me, it's like a whole different author. It's not even close. It's crazy how different it is. Just try it. I think you will absolutely love it. So well written. Characters are great. Complex plot. Complex world building that's done in a really beautiful way. And you don't have to follow around an absolutely awful antagonist like they're the protagonist the whole time, like you have to do in Prince of Thorns. Philip Chase raves about it for a reason. Is that a good jumping on point for Mark Lawrence? It's a tough question because I think every Mark Lawrence series is very different. And so I would say yes, because I'm enjoying it, but I don't think that it will give you a picture of what all of his stuff is like. I've heard almost every series is very different. He has quoted Prince of Thorns in the epigraphs. I get so mad every time. Dude, the epigraphs in the Library Trilogy are wild. Bro pulls from so many different weird things. Oh my gosh. All right. So here's what we're going to do. I need you guys to do a couple things for me. I need you guys to make sure you like this video. Make sure that you tell your friends about it. Again, thank you guys so much for 2,000 subscribers. Wow. Thank you guys so much for everything that you have done in terms of supporting the channel, whether it's just watching the videos or commenting on them or talking or being a member, being in the Book Street Boys Discord. Man, it means the world. It means the world that you guys would give half a rip about what some random Baptist pastor from Podunk Nowhere, Virginia, thinks about some books. When I first decided to make videos, I was very surprised that anyone watched them. And I think the only reason people did was because I was in enough communities that people knew me as like a watcher of some of those booktubers. And so why not? I'm so grateful to guys like Talking Story and Philip Chase and Andrew Wizardly Reads and all of those guys who shared my videos early and that continue to be really awesome, helpful friends. Thank you guys so much for watching. It means the world and engaging and just in this community in so many ways, like not my community, but like the BookTube community is just wildly positive in so many ways. And stoked to get this podcast out. Can't wait for it. I think it's going to be great. I love engaging with other people. It's just what I feel like I do the best. Stoked to get some of these reviews out, even though I know every review will bomb in comparison to my other videos, especially my BookTube recommends videos, which we'll be doing another one of those soon. Make sure you're in the Book Street Boys Discord. You guys are the bomb. And on that note, thank you, Hobby Vomit, for hanging out for late. Thank you, Books, Beverages, and Besties, for hanging out late. Riggs, ADHD Reader, everybody who has been here just engaging and talking. You guys are the bomb. Congratulations on 2K. Love that you're sharing your reading journey. Make sure you guys go subscribe to Books, Beverages, and Besties, subscribe to Hobby Vomit, subscribe to ADHD Reader, subscribe to all these guys. It means the world. Shannon, thank you so much for hanging out too. You kind of have to, though. You're my sister. It's like a family obligation thing. But hope you guys are excited for the next couple of weeks of Preacher Reads content. And if not, that's okay. Book reviews are kind of boring, but I promise we'll be getting some cool stuff out. So for the podcast. And again, thank you guys so much for hanging out. With that note, I am going to end the stream. I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to pack up for camp. If you guys are praying, Christian people, be praying that God moves to camp this week with my students. That would mean the world. And I'm going to sign off on that note. Have a great night, guys.